She cleaned their floors, cooked their meals, and cared for their children as if they were her own. But one missing necklace changed everything. Overnight, whispers turned into accusations, and all eyes pointed at her. The evidence? None. The reason? Her skin. And while they plotted to teach her a lesson, a quiet lens in the corner was capturing every second. What that footage revealed wouldn't just clear her name. It would expose something far uglier than theft. The question is, will you be able to forget what you're about to see? Maria Alvarez had worked for the Harpers for almost 8 years. Every Monday through Saturday, she arrived just before sunrise, her hands already busy before her coat was even off. She scrubbed counters until they gleamed, folded tiny socks for their children, and remembered the smallest details, like how Mrs. Harper liked her tea just warm enough to steam her glasses. To the neighbors, Maria was invisible. To the Harpers, she was help. But in her own small apartment across town, she was everything: mother, grandmother, and the steady heartbeat that kept her family afloat. Her life was humble, predictable, and built on trust. Yet lately, she'd felt something shift, a hushed conversation that cut off when she entered a room, lingering glances at her hands as she cleaned, the faint smile from Mrs. Harper that no longer reached her eyes. She brushed it off. People had bad days, she told herself. She didn't know then that a decision had already been made about her character, one that would push the truth into the shadows and let suspicion take center stage. It started with a glint of gold, or at least that's what Mrs. Harper swore. Her favorite necklace, the one with the delicate chain and a pendant shaped like a teardrop, was gone. She looked in the jewelry box once, twice, then called out, "For Maria." The tone in her voice pricked like a thorn. "Have you seen it?" she asked. The words were polite enough, but the stare underneath them wasn't. Maria shook her head quickly. "No, ma'am." Mrs. Harper smiled thinly, but there was no warmth in it. From that moment, Maria started to notice things, or maybe they had been there all along. The way Mrs. Harper's sister looked her up and down when she dropped by. The way Mr. Harper would stay in the room while she cleaned now, eyes following her every move. Within days, the whispers spread. The gardener didn't meet her eyes. The delivery driver tossed her packages on the step like she was contagious. By Friday, it was no longer whispers, it was words. "I've been told careful hands may not always be honest hands," Mrs. Harper murmured, loud enough for Maria to hear as she dusted the shelves. Maria's heart raced in her chest, but she said nothing. She needed the job, needed to keep sending money to her daughter in school, to keep the electricity on in her cramped apartment. Then came the real blow. Saturday morning, as she arrived, Mr. Harper was waiting by the front door. Arms crossed, jaw tight. "We've decided to install cameras," he said, "just for security purposes." Security purposes? It was almost laughable. They already had cameras on the driveway, the front entrance, the backyard gate. But now there was a small black lens tucked in the corner of every main room. Everywhere she went, she felt its gaze. She kept working, polishing, scrubbing, straightening. But now she moved slower, hyper-aware of every motion, terrified that the wrong look or misplaced item would be twisted into more evidence. Then Tuesday came. Maria had just finished polishing the silverware when Mrs. Harper called her into the living room. Spread out on the coffee table was the teardrop necklace shining under the light. "Look where I found it," Mrs. Harper said, looking directly at Maria. "In your cleaning bucket." Maria froze. She had never touched it, never even been in the room with it since it went missing. Her face flushed hot, but her hands trembled. "You should pack your things," Mrs. Harper added coldly, "before this gets more complicated for you." Maria's mind spun. She wanted to scream, to cry, to fight, but she was trapped, her word against theirs. And in this house, in this neighborhood, she knew exactly whose word would be believed. What she didn't know was that one of those security cameras had been rolling all day, and what it had captured would upend every lie that had been planted against her, while revealing something even uglier than simple theft. Maria stood in the doorway, her coat folded over her arm, ready to leave forever. The necklace still glinted on the coffee table like a silent accusation. Mrs. Harper's sister sat on the couch, smirking as if justice had already been served. But before Maria could step outside, Mr. Harper's voice rang out. "Hold on." He picked up the tablet that displayed the new security footage. The video played on the large TV in the living room. The timestamp was stamped in the corner. Maria recognized the moment instantly. She had been in the kitchen, scrubbing the sink. Then, there it was. Mrs. Harper's sister slipping quietly into the room, glancing toward the hallway. She reached into her own purse, pulled out the teardrop necklace, and tucked it between the rags in Maria's cleaning bucket. She stepped back, smiled faintly to herself, and walked away. The room went silent except for the faint hum of the television. Maria's hands shook. Not from fear anymore, but from a surge of relief, anger, and humiliation all tangled into one. She looked from the screen to Mrs. Harper, whose face had drained of color. In that moment, Maria wasn't just the maid they accused. She was a woman who had been betrayed, framed, and judged for a crime she didn't commit, all because she fit a prejudice that had lived in that house long before she ever did. Mr. Harper fumbled for words. Mrs. Harper's sister shifted uncomfortably. But the damage was done. The truth was on screen. And the world inside that living room felt suddenly smaller, heavier. The video ended. No one spoke. Maria picked up her coat, and what she said next would echo in that house forever. Maria didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "I told you I didn't take it," she said softly, her eyes steady on Mrs. Harper. Then she turned to the door and left, the click of it closing sounding louder than anything else that day. She walked the 2 miles home without looking back. No apology could erase the moment she realized they had never truly seen her, not as a person, not as someone worthy of trust, but as a suspicion waiting to be confirmed. News of what happened never reached beyond those walls. No one in the neighborhood knew she'd been framed. No one apologized on behalf of years of side glances, whispered comments, or the quiet belief that someone like her could never truly be innocent. Maria found another job eventually, but that scar, the knowledge that her skin alone had made her guilty in their eyes, never faded. Because the truth is, Maria's story isn't rare. It plays out in countless forms every day. In stores where clerks follow certain shoppers, in offices where promotions pass certain desks, in neighborhoods where police stop certain drivers. Each time, lives are chipped away by suspicion dressed as precaution. The footage saved Maria from losing her job. But a camera can't record the weight people carry after living under a system rigged to doubt them first and ask questions later. So the question remains, not just for Maria's employers, not just for her community, but for all of us. When the truth is finally caught on camera, will we be brave enough to see it or just look away?